got one question for you. Are you ready?
Hey, what is going on, everybody? We have Wolfstang in-house. What is going on?
What's up?
She howled. Very
that
good.
was a dope intro. That was like real rock and roll.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Right off the internets somewhere. I don't remember where I grabbed it. But yeah, totally fun. So I am going to say, wow, coming straight out of Venice Beach, California. Another one out of Cali. We love it. Venice Beach, as always, we got LA brother here from James, who grew up in LA area, and me, who likes to frequent the LA area, and my sister, of course, she is probably kind of grew up in that area. At least lived there for 15 years or so. But Venice is always my favorite place, just for the what the heck am I going to see today factor.
Yep.
Just saying, it's a freak show all around. So
It's never boring.
Never boring. My story for Venice Beach, I think I've told this maybe once. My buddy, who was my mining partner, was like they did like a little B&B thing there on Venice Beach. Was just outside getting a smoke, and two naked people who were painted purple just show up and ask him for a cigarette. I'm like, that's Venice Beach right there, folks. If you don't know what Venice Beach is, that's what it is. It's crazy, it's nutty, and it's it's part of the thing. But the interesting thing is that they have like movie night there, where you can go and float and on rafts or something and see a movie.
Oh man, that sounds dope. I don't know that I would go to that though, because I might go watch. There's a lot of like observation here. It's like we were saying before we went live. It's a freak show, so if you like the circus, you can go watch. Not always participate though. You might lose an arm
from a distance.
There's a lion in there. There's a lion in there. So lovely, Cali. Did you grow up in Cali? Just wondering.
No, I grew up. I was born in New Hampshire at a zoo actually called Animal Cracker Park back in the 80s, and we moved around a bunch. Mostly grew up in Ohio and South Texas, and moved out here to LA about 6 years ago from New York City. But it's like dope. Like you just can't beat the weather, so it's hard. It's like there's a lot of really unfortunate things happening with the city and how it functions or malfunctions right now, but like the weather is just so good, man.
I agree. I am on the West Coast myself. Well, I'm on the Southwest. I guess Phoenix is kind of close. We're about 200 miles away, but I love the weather for that reason. And my man from Florida, though, I don't know. I like Florida. I almost like Florida better. I don't know.
I like Florida cool down. It's been like, it's crazy. It's super hot here sometimes. It's like 93, 94 degrees.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's supposed to be fall weather. It's supposed to kick in soon, and I don't know when.
Sweaty.
It's
sweaty.
It's humid though.
It's sweaty.
Yeah, sweaty.
Good for the vocals, though. Good for the vocals, that the moisture in the air.
There you go. Yep, absolutely right. So you don't have to worry about some of that. But I'll tell you this: we're going to talk about some desserts here. So we go with the guest first, who did bring a dessert today. So in our food discussion of bands, we're going to talk about her dessert. What did you bring?
All right. Well, I was going to bring. I don't eat a lot of dessert. I stopped eating sugar a few years ago because that shit was my drug. And I was going to bring my favorite, La Ganja, but then I realized where we were on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I don't know if that's allowed anymore or yet at all. So what I brought are Uh, chocolate. Chocolate is like, if I'm gonna splurge on something, man, it's gonna be chocolate. It's got fat, it's got cacao, which has a little bit of caffeine, and it really like turns on your dopamine, which I'm always a fan of. So Erewhon here in Venice, which is like kind of a cult like grocery store for a lot of overpriced shit. They have a lot of dope chocolate. This one's called Stay Sane, and it has a bunch of adaptogens. Uh, the main one being ashwagandha in this one, which I don't know, it's probably okay. But this one's called Big Orgasm, which I thought was super dope.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
then this,
awesome.
the one thing for doing it. I don't even know what that means. That tagline's kind of weird. But like, how could you not buy a Big Orgasm chocolate bar?
Right. And the
Yeah.
reason why I'm going to tell you no, because I know my supplements nowadays, ashwagandha is actually a sex drive enhancer. So
Oh, there you go.
there you go.
Well, this one's got the orgasm one's got I was gonna say Kanye,
Got that Kanye in it.
which would be dope, maybe. For a second, cordyceps. So yeah, they're saying that cordyceps and maca is gonna like get you turned on or something.
There you go. Right on. Chocolate, the aphrodisiac. Yes, still, and then with supplements from what store was this again?
This is Erewhon in Venice, and they're all throughout LA now. It's like a bougie grocery store. It's what Whole Foods like wanted to be when it first came out, but never was. Like
Yeah.
you can get coconut milk there for like $14, like 12 ounces of it. But it's like the best damn coconut milk you've ever had. Faux show.
Faux show. I love it.
Speaking of the La Ganja, we did have a few past guests that actually, his name is Gary. His last name is Wolf. And he runs a little radio station out in California, Northern California.
Northern
And
California.
He brought pop brownies.
He did indeed.
Oh.
He did.
Did he
indeed.
eat them? Did he eat
Yep.
them whilst
Yep.
live?
He did indeed. He did indeed.
So
So you would have been fine. And in California,
there you go.
what happens in California stays in California.
Well, I'm stone cold sober, which is rare, but this is Wolfstang sober.
There you go. Wolfstang is sober tonight, folks. For the chat with the old folks.
I'm a professional here. Come on.
Good, because that's the kind of spirit that we want around here. I'm going to tell you what I brought. So on this whole, like, hey, still not eating. I went into the no sugar thing. Today we went mixed berries with vanilla Greek yogurt shake. So it's after post-workout. And again, I've been kind of sticking to it. I'm down. I've actually noticed that I'm actually going down in size. So yay me. It sucked to give up. Like I'm watching my family eat cookies, like really good cookies, Costco cookies, which was pretty good. They have a fairly decent bakery. And I did not partake of any of them. I just was like happy with some sort of, I think it was some sort of beef meal. So probably, jerky. It was jerky. So I had to sit and watch them eat cookies while I ate jerky, and was sad and lonely. That's how I live my life now, like watching other people eat good food. But I will tell you that chocolate does sound amazing. And the shake, though, I'll tell you, they're pretty good. If you make them yourself, you add some of your own stuff. I do go to, I don't go to Whole Foods. I go to Sprouts. Do you guys have Sprouts out there in LA? I don't know if you guys have those. It's like a Whole Food store.
Yeah, man. Definitely. I've been to a Sprouts. I think it's more like in the valley towns, but Sprouts, you can get anything you need at Sprouts.
Yep, they're pretty good. I've been pretty happy with. They're kind of like that cheaper Whole Foods. That's how I call it, cheaper Whole Foods, but still like a little bit cheaper. But you're still like still like a little bit more pricey than a regular grocery store. But I do buy some of this, my vegetables and stuff there. And
technical difficulties.
And we lost them. And they were
Okay.
like, the
Alrighty.
interweb was like,
We actually
fuck your sprouts. We
actually-
don't want to talk. We don't want to talk
talk about
about
sprouts. Nope. Sprouts intervene.
fucking
Sprouts
carrots,
is like,
man.
nope. Sprouts.
Nope.
And
There we go.
I went out. There is one of my kids that knows I'm on a live stream right now, and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna go do something right now and go and mess with this stuff." Go it.
It's Mercury's in retrograde, man, until the beginning of October. I'm not like woo woo or whatever, but I'm telling you, there's something to it. Shit messes up on the interwebs when whatever's happening in the sky happens.
I agree. We're gonna break it. What was it? Mercury in what?
Just Mercury's crossing something. It's like it's blocking signals in space.
Is blocking
in
space
outer
signals.
space.
That is what I'm going to blame it on, and I am though later going to go trace down the kid that keeps turning off the router in the middle of my show. Hopefully, it's not the same kid that I think it is, but
Maybe it's an alien.
That's what I was thinking. Going back to space, it actually was an alien, and that's what I'm come back next week, and I'll say, yeah, she was right. It was Mercury. He was from Mercury, or a multi-dimensional planet. I don't know, one of those two things, causing my internet to go out. I will say this: Shake was good, but I am making these from scratch. So just letting you know, these are real berries. These are real yogurt. It is real ice. Not very hard to make, but you just put them in one of those bullet blenders. Yay. But we all bow down to the man, the myth, the legend, the chef, James. What's going on, buddy? What do you got?
This is actually this is actually really easy. So, so this morning, okay, I'm like, what can I make today? So I had a box of cake mix. I actually went with a tres leche cake.
Oh, yes.
So,
The 3 milks.
Yep, 3 milks. So, it literally is a box of cake mix. I use the yellow cake mix, and for the milks, it's like 12 ounces of evaporated milk, 14 ounces of condensed milk, and 12 ounces of heavy cream. I added vanilla and some cinnamon and orange peel. Let it steep, and then literally after the cake is done, let it cool. Poke a bunch of holes in it with a fork, and pretty much pour the liquid mixture, and then put it in the cooler and let it sit, and make your whipped cream. Pretty much just take like 2.5 cups, 3 cups of heavy cream, mix in like 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar. I actually put some vanilla bean in there as well, so mix it up till stiffens up, and you're good.
Here we go. Let's see it. Let's see this masterpiece. All right.
So
there we go. We're gonna zoom in on that bad boy. Look at that. Everybody.
I used to eat the hell out of tres leches, man. That shit's good.
It's a green plate, and it's special on the green screen. So you're good.
I know it was, but it still looked really good. It's
good.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is. So where did you first have tres leches at?
Me or James or both of us?
Well, we could do both.
Well, I first had tres leches, if you will, probably in South Texas growing up. There was a lot of, I was on the receiving end of a lot of amazing Latin, Hispanic culture, and that was part of it. So there was tres leches cake all around all the time, and like tres leches flavored things. And so I just remember it being like milky.
It's
like,
good. It's a guilty pleasure.
Hydrating, but sugar hydration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a guilty pleasure. I really don't even want to keep it here. I want to take it the rest of it to work, and so I don't have to eat the whole container of it. It's really good.
It is really good. I agree. And so I think it's, oh man, what a great dessert show that we had today. A little bit of dessert showdown. I think that Big Orgasm chocolate, though, that is pretty darn close to tres leches. I don't know. Let's get a shot of that.
Big Orgasm.
There we go. You can't beat that. I don't know. It's pretty good. So I think that they're tied. They have to be tied.
Yeah, I'd say it's a tie.
Everybody
It's
gets a trophy.
Everybody gets a trophy on this show. You get a trophy, and you get a trophy. It's Oprah. So here is what is going on now. We're going to talk a little bit more about food, Wolfstang.
So here's another quick close up there. So it's mostly like
look at that. So he's just verifying. This is the verification that he did not eat all the cake.
yeah, it's
Like his counterpart probably might have.
You got in there though.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Don't blame it on the dog. No, don't blame it on the dog. But he did. He got himself some food there. Is that your? But however, it was not a chocolate bunny, and I digress. But I will tell you this. What is Wolfstang's favorite go-to meal when you are out on tour?
Well, I haven't toured that often, but thank you for thinking that. But I would say I'm super lazy when it comes to feeding myself, which is stupid, but I'm also very strict about what I put in my body. I love fat. In fact, another thing that I brought here was this amazing keto crisp. It's called butter and salt, and it's fucking amazing. I think you can get them at Whole Foods, probably Sprouts too. You have to get the butter and salt one though. It's like crack level good, although I've never had crack, but
Okay,
like
let's see the picture of this thing. Let's see it.
yeah. Keto crisp.
Oh, yes.
So this is so good that even one time I bought one of these from Erewhon, and I was just driving and I was fucking like stuffing my face with it, and I looked down and it looked abnormal in a way. Like it's pretty like just vanilla looking, right? I looked down the corner of my eye and it has these little speckles on it. And I'm like subconsciously like, well, that's weird. That's not normal. And then I look closer and I realize there's a bunch of fucking ants, like dead ants in the thing that probably got there in factory production, whatever. And obviously I was grossed out for like half an hour, but then I totally got over it. And I still eat them. They're so good. I mean, they're like, that butter and salt. So like stuff like this is what I eat when I'm out on the road.
a little bit more protein. That's cool.
I need the protein. I love eggs. I try to stay away from the bread because I just puff up and get a little pudgy.
I feel that gluten. Yep. I hate that. I know you
us
feel it.
Midwesterners, man.
Yeah, we love our
the Irish blood can't take it, man.
I agree with you.
But I think like fat, salt, and protein wherever I can find it. But like honestly, I'll eat really good sugar-free chocolate and like coconut milk for long periods of time if I have to.
That sounds really good, though. It does sound like it's healthy and added ants. That's always that's good.
Right?
Yeah, lucky for us, ants are like totally safe. It's just kind of shocking. You're like, then you realize how privileged we are. Because we're like, they're just ants, yes. But you would have thought the sky was falling. I'm like, what's happened to me?
First world problems, right?
Yeah,
So I will say this, that that's awesome. The next question I have for you is right before you go on stage. Do you eat something or drink something, or are you one of those people that wait till after?
Definitely drink lots of tea, water handy at all times. And if I'm extra nervous, like a shot of something to give me a little growl, like a whiskey or tequila. But for the most part, I try to stay super sober and grounded so I can control my voice. And definitely don't eat, because when you do that, then your system is digesting and focused on digesting, and you lose brain power, you lose clarity. And I still get pretty nervous before I go up, and I need to like not forget my own lyrics and shit. So I like to have a stomach.
So you don't need a teleprompter yet. You're not Vince Neil yet. So that's good. That's good. 'Cause now he's
I mean, that would be dope, but in a way it's like I notice even when I'm tracking vocals, I'll have I know the lyrics, but I'll have my phone there as a crutch. And at some point you have to get rid of the crutch and just trust that you know it because you almost fuck up sometimes more when you have that crutch in front of you.
Right. True.
right. Right. And you know what? I'm going to say this. So now we're going to throw into the music section. I love what you're doing. I absolutely was not
thank you.
prepared. I'm going to say this. I was like thinking, what is this going to be another metal band? That was the other thing I thought. I was like, Wolfstang, sounds very, very metal. And then I heard the guitar riffs, and then I
Awesome.
was like, beautiful female vocals coming out. And I was like, yes. Because we've
Even
been
like the bluesy tones, like where it gets into blues, because it's like a country like bass, but like Americana, like some country, the bluesy rock, like it's all works. It's all awesome.
I
Like,
know.
Thank you.
I loved it. I was like, because I'm a country fan too, so it was like this is like perfect, like country rock, and you're just doing and you switch it up, so it's not all country rock. So if you can't even peg it down to like this is country rock, you have some country rock songs, you have some more harder rock songs, and I absolutely love all the mix in between that you've done. We always listen to our upcoming musicians, at least a week in advance, and just keep listening and listening. I bring you to the gym because it's like, hey, I'm going to listen. I'm going to see how workoutable is this music. And it is definitely gym approved. So,
Well, that's a big compliment. Thank you.
yeah.
how I came across you was, I think I told you that before, was through Tanya Candler. She posted a story. We actually had her on too as well, so shout out to her. She posted, I think, a story post or something, and I was like, that's how I came across. And she even said, hey, you should have her on. This was like, I think I messaged you like a while ago, and I was like, hey, you want to be on, whatever. And I'm saying, we'll figure it out. And you were like, yeah, and totally down. And we worked out a time, worked out a date, and yeah. So here we are, and it's been an amazing experience for real. Like, your music is really good. So.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's solid, very solid.
Thanks, man. I mean, that means so much. I mean, all the things, right? So, I love rock and roll. I mean, I grew up listening to Metallica, going to the gym, and needing kind of that like heavy rock and roll. I mean, obviously the early stuff is like traditionally metal. I don't know if everyone would agree that they're metal still. Or in the middle of their career. But anyway, I digress. On Metallica. I could talk about Metallica all the time. All day. And then so I love, like, Metallica was my first concert, and then my first album ever was Michael Jackson's Bad. And like Madonna was like my second mother. Like, she taught me about sexuality and racism, to be honest. And then there's like Janet Jackson, but then I grew up listening to George Strait and living like right next to his family. And so, and James Taylor, like I'm a jukebox for James Taylor. So there's a ton of influence, varying influence in the Daddy Wounds record, and the new music that I'm working on now. I have 5 new songs in the works, and I took it even to like a rootsier, more bluesy vibe. These next few songs are really sad, and I'm happy about that. um, but there's a real focus on stripping away a little bit of the production, keeping it, in terms of instrumentals, keeping it a little simpler than Daddy Wounds. But yeah, man, I mean, the subject matter is about my experience with having a shitty father, who I also happen to love, obviously, as you do, even if your parents suck. And he was a very talented man, singer songwriter, and a complicated man. And he did some great things, but also did some very, very, very terrible things. And I had to like talk about it and put it in a way that sonically was something I'd actually want to listen to, um, and lyrically in a way that was honest, but not like so heavy and sad and like, oh, woe is me, right? It's like the point was kind of to be tongue in cheek a little bit, and and to find the funny, if there is any, in a lot of what I experienced with him. And but there's also stuff about Christianity in there. Grandpa Jack, my grandpa Jack sold me Jesus, and story about a clown. This time I fell in love with a clown who was a roadie, and he stole all my money, but we had a really good time. and
I love
and
stuff like that.
yeah, and Night Terror was honestly like an early attempt to nod to Trent Reznor, and then we got in there, and I realized very quickly how impossible that is, unless you're in the room with Trent Reznor, and but it is what it is, and I love it, and it's about anxiety and night terrors, and literally, what it's like to have like every reason to be happy and positive, and and to not have anxiety and night terrors, but still to I still to this day, will wake up in the middle of the night kicking and screaming, thinking I'm dying and all these terrible things. And that's from childhood trauma, and what better medium to work all that shit out than music, in my opinion.
And you get all that from like the lyrics itself. I mean, I know the lyrics because even before we started, like when I got home from work to now, before we even started the stream, I listened. I was on complete, shuffle. Like, it was on shuffle the whole time. Even if it's only those couple songs, it was just on repeat, everything. And even though you get like you feel that lyric, you feel like that pain, you feel like what you've been through, but you feel like even like the energy of like what you're putting out, like the musically and like harmonically, like through the lyrics and through like the music, the instrumentals. You know what I'm saying? You feel all that. Like you say you worked out to it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it's just that like that good feel. You know what I'm saying? But even though it's still brought on by pain, and it's a good way to get. I mean, of course, getting that out. It's almost like a self like therapy kind of thing, and getting all that out and letting everybody know what you've been through in your story.
Yeah, well, that's what good music is, I think. If it succeeds, and then great music is music that transcends to many, many people. But and this is something I keep constantly trying to explain to my husband about Metallica, for example. Um, he's more of a like Bob Marley, Biggie Smalls, Jay-Z kind of guy, and which is amazing, and they're emoting their life experiences sonically in one way, but I explain like sort of the pathway that I feel a band like Metallica is creating with like Lars's beautiful melodic guitar riffs and hooks, and James's lyrics, and Lars's oh wait, no, Kirk's guitar, and Lars's drum drumming, and I think it's better than like you know violence, physical violence. And that's always what I experienced too with bands like Rage Against the Machine, like going to see them live. I mean, I've seen Rage maybe 3 times. I just saw them recently again at Madison Square Garden. If you guys can go see them, highly recommend. It's so fucking good. But it's like the nicest audience, man. There's people are headbanging, and there's some moshing, and there's some like movement of the crowd, and it's like mostly male. Um, which might be scary to some people, but I find it always to be like everybody's in agreement why we're here, and we're all just like tapping into Zach's lyrics, and we're fucking like bleeding out our own rage through his rage, and that's like the beautiful thing about music.
I
Very true.
agree. I agree. Well said. I don't even think we even. That's just well said. Yeah.
And
I think
I think I can
Go ahead.
relate with you on Metallica. First show, big show for me was Metallica as well.
Yeah,
I think it
Metallica
was
was a
Nice.
great
like
band.
Summer Sanitarium, like '02, and it was like Metallica was the I think Mudvayne. It's been like all the new metal that came out. So Mudvayne, Deftones, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, and then it ended with Metallica.
Oh, wow.
Metallica
a
is
good
a
show.
great band. Yeah. I'm gonna say this that I'm older than probably both of you guys. And I remember when I first saw the first Metallica Master of Puppets t-shirt, and I was just like, okay, I gotta get that band. That because it just had that cross, right? So that was the t-shirt had, and I was just like, one of my friends had it, and I was like, what is that? And it changed the world. Like that is when I went from that hard rock like AC/DC. Well, I didn't even think I was in AC/DC back then. I think I was more into the 80s like Motley Crue. I think Motley Crue was like my heaviest band. Motley Crue, Dokken, whoever. Metallica got me into that space of metal. Just is so to me it's very it is an emotional, it is a like, especially when you're playing it, just an amazing art in music that definitely taps into that root. And I think that's what you did really well with some of your guitar and some of your instrumentals, was being able to tap into that root and then having really great lyrics. Your lyrics are phenomenal. Very telling
Thank
of
you.
where you're, and they have a journey to them, and every song had a different journey, but it definitely wrapped up, but you understood where you were trying to go and what you were trying to say, in my opinion. And I enjoy that because that means that you thought instrumentally, you thought the music was here, but you also added the lyrics that just were bangers. Where you're like, "Hey, I don't know how you're I didn't. I what I wondered was how. What is your creative process behind this? Are you going lyrics first and then you put the instrumentals, or you just kind of, how are you doing that? It's phenomenally great.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Because the lyrics mean a lot to me. So it varies, which I'm sure you hear a lot, the creative process.
Mhm.
In terms of Daddy Wounds, I had an amazing, amazing, amazing collaborator in SJ, Rock and Roll Jones, who is fantastic producer, 25 years in the business. She's also a rock and roll star. She's got a band. Um,
Actually, sorry to interrupt, and we actually had her on too as well.
yeah.
Yeah,
We are
So
pigs. Yeah, very
shout
awesome.
out to We Are
We Are
Pig.
Pig.
Yeah, man. You wouldn't know it by necessarily by the We Are Pig stuff, but her voice is like fucking really pretty and gorgeous.
It is.
Um, and so I worked with SJ. So she brought a lot of um she was aware, when we talk about, we'd sit there, for example, and we wrote each song in one day. Like there was a fucking dope demo in like 5 hours on each song. And it all started with, I write long form, less so now. Now I'm write more to the cadence of what I know is going to be a song. But with this, these were like long form, so I had to cut a lot, and reorganize and find the hook, and which for anyone who's a writer is like a painful process because you're like, these are my precious babies. Um, and I was like, well, I'm not Bob Dylan, so I'm not gonna like sit here for 7 minutes and just like tell you a very long story. Anyway, so yeah, it all starts with the lyrics for me, even now. More so these days, like a melody. I'll wake up and the melody will be in my head and the lyrics with the melody. So it's not just sonically a melody, or it's not just a series of melodic notes. Like there's actual words with them. Um, I'm a little superstitious, and I feel like when that happens, when it's like I've relaxed enough, and um, a melody can actually come assigned with words, I just stick to those words and then I write. That's like a hook. It's often a chorus or a hook or some sort of like anchor, and then I write from there. But I don't really change once it comes to me. And so yeah, I got like thousands and thousands of hooks and choruses, and then I build from there, and we talk about uh like what I need to feel sonically when I'm performing it, cuz I need, like, I'm trying to create a portal back to the feeling I had when I wrote it. So this new song I wrote called Maybe. SJ and I are working on it as well. Um, Super excited about it. I wrote it in Maui last December, and I was super fucking sad at a really low point, which is ironic because I was like in paradise, and again, I have on paper not a lot of reasons to be that sad, but it's just in my DNA, and it's the truth of the bloodline, as I say in the song, and and so my job is with whoever I'm working with, whoever I'm collaborating with, is to like, how can we sonically take me back to that feeling of deep sadness with the music so that when I'm performing it, it's authentic every time and I'm not just performing it. Um, so yeah, does that does that answer your question?
That's a
Oh yeah,
great answer. Actually, that's
it's definitely a
amazing.
good
answer.
breakdown of that. That's very well said.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, it's amazing. James, I know you got some more. James is the research guy of our duo.
Yes,
and
I try to do a lot of research, but yeah, I mean it's been just fantastic listening to your stuff, and we do look forward to listening to your new stuff as well. And but yeah, just your style itself, it's it's great. I mean, it's like question wise, like we literally tried. I think we've answered majority of them as we went along this where we're at right now. So, but yeah,
no, I
just the whole
love it.
creative process and kind of building the structure of like the song from your lyrics and then your instrumentals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What are you use? So this is the questions. Your guitars, pretty. Are you using? I heard synthesizer in some of your work. So some either tracks or you're laying down some synthesizer. Guitars, are those not? I didn't think they were MIDI, so I was like, I don't think those are MIDI guitars. Those are real guitars.
Yeah,
Um,
we like to mix digital and, I mean, well, in the end it's all digital, right? But
right.
live and pre-recorded or loops, if you will. Um but guitar on this is live, all guitar, drums. We got trumpet in there, fucking great trumpeter, um, trumpetist. He he came in LA, and we have cello. We have I think there's some pedal steel, you know, live shakers, bells, and then
And those were
night.
all live.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
And then night terror's a little more digitized. But that's where we had the cello on there, so the strings are live, and oh man, that just added so much to that song. And yeah, with this new stuff we're working, there's gonna be a lot of lap steel, pedal steel. It's kind of hard to find a lap steelist in Los Angeles, and we really
Right.
like to be in the room with the musician, so we might have to settle for pedal steel, but like I think they both sound fucking great.
Might have to go
And
to Nashville. Might have to go hang out in Nashville for a bit.
it's true. But yeah, I'm bringing more like that country vibe, that like crying, like lap steel sound into these new songs, and like funky bass lines, where I can find a bassist who like just has that in their soul. Obviously, like it really, because I don't have a full band yet. Um I've like the benefit and detriment of having to like weed through people, because there's a lot of like, like you're bringing in that person's energy, that person's artistry, um and like you have to like it, and I'm pretty picky, so it's like really interested in bringing in the funk too, and more like blues tones into this new stuff. So I'm like on the hunt for those kind of sounding people in Los Angeles, because LA's a lot of pop, and pop is cool. Like I like a pop finish and a pop mix, um but really, like, it's important to me to make this feel like as live and as much like a band as I can.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Who's doing your sound engine? Is SJ doing your sound engineering?
We had this guy Lucas, who's out of Paris, France. He does a lot of really like heavy metal stuff, and I just liked his crispiness. SJ trusted him, and he did a fucking fantastic job. And so he did Daddy Wounds, and for this next round of songs, I'm working with various different mixers just to kind of see, right, like what would you do with the sound? What would you do with this production? How would you make it better? I'm really like in the vein of learning as much as I can, as fast as I can with this, and the only way I can do that is by like being in the room with as many different people as possible.
Cool. So this is my standard question, always a standard question. What got you into this?
Well, I guess I was born with some sort of voice, if you will, some sort of ability for the muscles to make a sound that was not terrible. My biological father was a singer-songwriter, and so and very much into music. So, and I grew up performing. I went to film school, and I was a dancer, and always I almost said a poet. That sounds so dorky. But like I've been writing for a really long time, and truth be told, for many years I sang, but I didn't pursue the music angle as a medium because of the doubt monster from my dad, the doubt monster from any like fucked up dude I was dating at the time, and and that's really unfortunate. And if I could go back and change anything, I wouldn't have hung up the vocal cords, so to speak, because of a bunch of assholes. But my relationship to music is like with anything else, right? It's like it's kind of, I was talking to my husband about this the other day. It's like, like people's sexual experiences, for the most part, like we don't talk about those like that openly because it's like a personal thing and it's hard to explain. And like that's how I feel about music, or like taking psychedelics or whatever. It's like super personal. Music is always my best friend, always has been, always will be. I never feel judged. Like no matter what happens, I get in a room and like I turn on Metallica or whatever I want to listen to, and like I feel held, and like we're homies and we're best friends in that room privately, and nobody can ever take that away from me, and it never falters and it never changes. And like the core of that um is what drives me to make music and to constantly learn how to make better music and get better for as long as I live, man. I hope I get to do it forever. I mean, it's not the cheapest thing to do, by far, but I can't think of like a better job, or not that it's a job, but like I can't think of a better thing to spend your time doing.
And you're putting your story out there. You know what I'm saying? You're entertaining other people and other people that might have gone through the same thing. Sorry.
There you go. They heard you. That's so beautiful. That's absolutely a beautiful thing to say. Wow. Yeah. That's why your lyrics are so good. Yeah. That's deep. That's really deep and beautiful. I'm out. Sometimes you're blown away by somebody's words, and that was one of them. Yeah, that was really good. A really good answer.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I win.
You do. You win. I have never heard that actually is one of the best responses I've ever heard to to a question like that. Like, because it really is. And you think about it, like the connection you have with music is it is an intimate relationship that only you know about and what it means to you. Like everybody's music taste is so different because they have an intimate relationship with it. And especially when you're producing music, like I'll sit in my house, and when I'm feeling down, got the blues going. I'm playing some blues guitar. I'm enjoying that, just feeling in that moment, some of the best blue. I'm trying to play some of the best blues that I can based off of what I've heard the blues to be. But it's because of your connection with those artists, but it's also the connection to the music that you're playing and to the instrument you're playing. And in your case, your singing is amazing. So I think that wow, yeah, great answer.
I know you mentioned a little bit earlier about even though you've been performing for so long, you still kind of get any of the anxiety and stuff like that. So I mean, even like say for people that listen to this later on, how does one kind of get over that? I mean, not maybe not over, but like how does one get through like that anxiety feel like when you're on stage performing in front of people?
Oh man. So it changes every time. I really like to prepare. I like to prepare and over prepare as much as possible. I always do way more work than is actually required, and that like staves my anxiety, whether I'm performing or whatever it is I'm doing, running a company or whatever. Um so I think preparation is key, but also like you preparation experience, like you can rehearse all you want, and rehearsing is amazing, but you just have to get out there and do it and do it. You have to like feel it and understand it, just like an organism. It's like this energetic organism that you have to like understand, like spend time with, and that just happens through time and experience. But also like um Jay-Z says, best rapper alive. Like it's true. If you People can feel it. So if just for that moment you have to find a way to psych yourself out and believe that you're the best rapper alive, that you're the best that's going to go do what you're about to do on stage in that moment. Whether it's true or not, it's probably not true, but you have to believe it, because you're out there and you have hundreds of eyes or tens of eyes or thousands of eyes staring at you, and they can feel you just like a horse can sense your anxiety. Um, and like for the most part, people don't want you to fail. Like they want to be fucking entertained. And you're up there, they're not. And so you better fucking entertain them. And I think the drive for me is just like feeling like it's a job in a good way every time I'm on stage, and like a privilege, um and like fuck you anxiety, you will not get the best of me. And even if you do for the first song, or even if you do for this note, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. It's like a sport kind of thing. You just got to keep going, man. Just keep swimming.
That's an amazing answer again.
Yep. Full of
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. I will say this, that and this is going to take a different tone. How hard is it to be a female in this industry?
I mean, I don't I'm independent. I independently produced, and I'm really lucky in that. I have run several companies and exited several companies. I have real knowledge of what it feels like to be in a room full of men in an executive level setting outside of music. And it like that's the world I came up in corporate America. And look, it's not like there are differences, and because you are a woman, there's biases and you get treated differently, even if it's not. So like in my song Ain't No Man, a lot of that was a culmination of different parts of my experience being a female in this world. Um, Part of my lyrics are a whisper, a wink, the curl of the cheek. Ain't no man gonna tell me nothing except something good. But the whisper, the wink, the curl of the cheek is like to me, I'm describing like a troll, like a little court gesture. So what I saw, and if you want to call it the patriarchy, if you want to call it like whatever, like inequality, because like women are actually like have more equality now than they ever have, or in recent centuries, I guess. But it doesn't always feel like that, especially in the media. And so, but you still, as a woman, like you can still feel it, and but it's not always this thing you can put your finger on or point your finger at. Um, but like women know it, like, and it's that little gesture in the court, like, come pull your hair, laugh, and then like nobody sees it. And you're like, did you fucking just see that? Did you guys just see that? Like, hello.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what it feels like for me a lot. But in music, look, for me, it's like about the music. I wish there were more female producers that I could collaborate with. Um, and I hope young girls and men around them like encourage women to learn instruments, to learn DAWs, to learn music production, because beautiful things come out of women, and there's just not enough female representation on the technical side of music production. Um, and like, like, so yeah, so there's that, and like, there's always a little bit of apprehension I have when going into a session with a guy, even though like I'm in my late 30s and I'm married, and it's like I don't feel like I'm, up on the chopping block, 22-year-old whatever. But like it's it's still pensive, and like it's an intimate thing writing with people, and it's awkward. And so it's like it's something being a female in any space, but especially in a creative one, is not doesn't always feel safe. And that sucks, and maybe that'll change, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But yeah, man, I mean, i think I think it's up to women ultimately, to make any changes that we want to see, because from what I've experienced, like the business world, especially the music side of it, is run by mostly men. And
Yeah.
if we want to change that, then we need to do the work. And there are plenty of women, um, on the business side of things, working to balance things out. But that was a long-winded. It's a nuanced thing, man.
No,
We came with some. I just want, I just, it's something that's important. I've watched some documentaries, lots of things about that. I think Kitty, which was one of the ones that that we've had on, talked about this, it being a very hard place because of, the way that the industry has viewed women historically. And I just wanted to get your take on it. We don't have a ton of women that come on our show, and I just thought it was important to get your take, and especially with your open answers. I mean, you've been here, done that, and I think your wisdom will help other future songwriters and musicians, because I think you've been here, done that. I think that's what SJ was also in the same space. Like, you guys are older, you've been in the industry for a while now. And I think getting that place that you're empowering new musicians coming up, saying, yeah, we can take over, we can do this. So important. So
like
important.
you said, we would definitely need more of those, of the, like I said, the music producers, the mixers, the engineers, stuff like that. And it's like I said, your answers have been amazing. So I mean, I do wish that everybody that listens to this, if they stumble upon it, whatever, to actually take this into what I'm saying, doing what you want to do. And just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can't, you're not, doesn't mean you have to be that person where you don't do nothing or whatever. Like rise up, you know what I'm saying, as far as you can kind of get it, set your goals as high as you can get them, and achieve them, you know what I'm saying. So you can do whatever you want to do, even in a male driven world, whatever, you know what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be like that, you know what I'm saying, at all.
I agree.
Well, I think too, it's a matter of like becoming excellent at and skilled technically, and not necessarily resting on your looks, or a woman's, generally speaking, ability to like influence men sexually, just like biologically, because that's just the way the world is. um if you can stand up and behind or in front of your own like technical skills, whether it be writing or playing an instrument, or mixing and all these things. Like that's all you focus on, and your gender is secondary.
Yeah.
Facts.
And
100%.
that's such a true statement. So I raised two daughters, and as a single parent, that's the one thing that I always try. And I have they're young, so I still have they're 25 and 22, but I always am trying to get them to realize their power and their worth, because that's so important to me for them, is and to see let them see their worth. And I think that that's what we should be doing, is telling people their worth, people in general, their worth.
Right.
And I think as a dad of two daughters who are doing success, they're successfully doing life right now. They're at the beginning journey of adulting. But, but I think to your point, like I said to my oldest daughter, you got to find something that's your thing. Whatever it is, just be excellent at that thing, and the rest will happen. But and she's doing that, so she's now going back to school she likes working with animals, so
Yeah.
she's going to be a tech vet. I'm so proud of her. And
That's amazing. That's a
yeah,
hard job. That's not easy.
yeah, that's what she said. And she was so excited to tell me that she was doing it. And then she's also been in Florida by herself, Orlando. She moved out of Arizona, moved to like Michigan, and then now she's in Orlando by herself, no family,
Wow.
doing her thing. I mean, and that's the thing that I want. I'm just so proud of her for those reasons. Exactly what your music is amazing, and you're doing really great things. And I appreciate you answering that question. It's important for me just to let people like my daughters see answers like that, because it helps inspire them.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we are right at that moment. We are at that hour, folks. And man, what a blast this has been. Absolutely a blast. And I don't want to leave it at the at this emotional level, but I'll tell you that what a blast this has been. Great answers, and I think that this interview is exactly better than I have ever expected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just blow away by your answers. Just well thought out. And I'm going to tell you that that the answers you're hearing right now are why the lyrics are so good. She thinks about these things. This is a thinking person's music. And also it's well thought out, and there's emotion behind it. So blown away always by a musician that can lay down the lyrics and the music, but also being able to tell her heart story and her journey. Well done. And I look forward to seeing the rest of, what's going on in the future.
Thank you, Andy and James. This has been dope. And just keep rocking and rolling, everyone.
Oh yeah. So when do we kind of expect some new stuff like in the work? I mean, I know it's in the works, but like when you have like a set date when you're kind of putting out stuff, or
Yeah,
teasers?
my personal goal is to have the 4 of them finished by November, so that I can start performing them
Nice.
in late November. So keep an eye out for Wolfstang. I'm pivoting a bit, and then I'm like all I want to do is write for the next several years and get a bunch of shit out and try new stuff. Like I have tons of interest in like just instrumental stuff, and also like deep house music and rap.
Cool.
No, I'm just kidding. Not rap.
But
We're actually
house
done.
music is good. I like deep house is good. That's a good one.
We did actually
Yeah.
have a question in there. It says, "Is there any lesson learned that you share with other artists?"
Oh, any lesson for other artists?
It says, Is there any lesson learned that you share with other artists?"
Any lesson learned that I share with other artists? I mean, I learn lessons every day. Every time I get into a session, every time I leave a session, I have like 5 different things I learned. Whether it be like how to communicate with the other artist, which is like a whole thing, right? Like dealing with somebody else's artistic ego, whilst also dealing with your own is like a balance. I'd say like never burn bridges is in collaborating creatively or in business. Just like keep it as cool as possible and like do a slow fade out if something's going awry, but don't burn bridges.
Very smart and wise words. I have followed that all of my corporate career as well. You never know when you're going to need those bridges back.
For sure.
Because that bridge talks to somebody else. That other person talks to other
Yeah,
people, and it
for
can
sure.
definitely destroy your reputation by burning it. So yeah, and sometimes it's hard not to, but like you said, slow roll out. You see something uncomfortable, you slow roll out. You come up with excuses to be able to move forward in a very nice pattern out the door.
Yeah, man, you don't need that. You don't need that drama or the stress.
Absolutely. And this, this world is so full of that. I like to hear the fact that you've learned that, because that's most people like, oh, I'm just going to tell them. I'm just going to say it. I don't care. And you're like, yeah, but that is not productive and it's
Right.
toxic. So,
Now save
and
the drama for your mama. We ain't got no time for it. We're here to make music.
There you
that's
go.
absolutely right. And you make beautiful music,
Keep
amazing
doing it.
stuff. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank
And
you,
James,
guys.
what do you got for us? What do you got for us, my friend?
No, yeah, it's been amazing. Every time we get a guest on here, we appreciate anybody's time that we have on here, and we know it's valuable, and we definitely try and make the most of it. So we truly appreciate your time, and we definitely look forward to having you on, later on in the future if you're down.
Yes, sirs. Let's do it.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. Maybe we'll have to have SJ on and her
yeah,
Oh,
and
that'd be
whoever
fun.
else. And
super
yeah,
dope.
that would be cool. I'd be like, SJ's awesome. SJ's
That'd be
awesome.
awesome.
Best.
Yeah, yeah, she is really cool. And also South African, so gotta love that.
She also sounds great when she
I know.
talks.
I know you're like, hey, I think she's insulting me, but she sounds really cool when she does it. James, lead us out, my friend. What do you have to say? What's the last phrase that you have to say to us?
As always, stay tasty.
See you guys.
Mm.